in some of their games. We see them losing maps against Seoul in their opening best of 3 in the group stage. Maybe there's a potential for them to get off to that slow start and godsent could take advantage, or else, I could maybe see that 2-0 come out for FaZe.
Well, I mean, we saw FaZe being obliterated by Big on this very map where Nico was made a non-factor. The question is, who's going to be a factor here? And it starts off being Brokey. Gets himself a quick one. Martin, in the meanwhile, lurking behind the ticket box, hoping that he can get something in when they start to retreat from the bomb plant. But Rain is the spanner in the works. There's so much info, yes, but Martin knows he needs to start moving in as well. Rain can deny anyone coming through from the murder hole, and Martin only has one direction to go. He finds it first, but coldzera's traded. coldzera's got 2, and he's still fighting. He gets 3. Zen left in a 1v4.
Yeah, and Zen was just not a part of the action there for the retake. They had the kit and the smoke on Crystal, but they don't win out on the trades. And FaZe, that fast play towards A, they get into such great positions, not only to just deny rotations, but to hear where everybody is going on the side of godsent and Cold. I mean, he's just in the middle of nowhere, but taking fights. 3 kills for him. FaZe taking the pistol in a very dominant fashion.
And it's great to see as well, because we had a few maps where Cold was, freezing up a little bit. Not quite the hot hand that we sometimes see him have, but look at Stico. So aggressive, but he is punished. Rain knows that angle perfectly. He plays it himself, and Martin now with the deagle. Fast pace into him they go. Kirby's got the kill, but Farlig's got 2 of his own. Cold and Kirby, both keeping control. Well, Zen creeps around these smokes, but Crystal, what a shot! Cold is starting off beautifully so far.
Yeah, and Zen's on 7 HP, so just saving the armor. I mean, you expect to see these second round force buys, even rounds where you maybe make arguments for them to just save, go for guns and follow-up rounds. They can find themselves into pretty precarious spots with just pistols. They relied on it pretty heavily in the game against Big, the one that was such a heartbreaking loss. They're not quite able to get that consistency going. Yeah, Cold off to a very strong start. This is a battle of 2 solid international teams. You know, we've got a diversity in terms of where all the players are from. If you count the coaches as well, that's 12 people. There's 11 nationalities represented.
Well, I mean, listen, it would make Pitbull proud any day of the week. Thank you, Mr. International. You were the one who paved the way for us to get to this level. Pitbull, we salute you. I mean, that is how CS history worked, right? That's exactly how it went. It wasn't anything like Crystal being the pioneer of international teams back in Penta back in the day. And that's something to keep in mind as Cold is getting his thinking hat on. We do have a bit of a timeout coming through. The one very important thing to keep in mind and maintain constantly is going to be that godsent is essentially FaZe Clan Light. So either one of these teams have huge pop-off potential, but I have a bit of a feeling, as we're going to see what's happening in the other game, NIP are actually being rocked a little bit. Sprout looking to maybe lean into 10 rounds on the nuke T side, and with a 2v2 going on, that could very well work in their favor. Now, the interesting thing to also keep in mind, though, is that Sprout have, of course, had a couple of their players performing incredibly well. You can see over towards the scoreboard, Dennis sitting on 11, but it's probably Snatchy and Diha who I want to see going into the CT sides, where obviously so much stronger. Meanwhile, though, back to FaZe and godsent. I'm sure there's a bit more to talk about as we see the 2v1 play out on our screen, Michael.
And I mean, there are other casters over on the B stream. You know, you can go and check them out as well. They're going to be focusing on that game as we just find the conclusion of that clutch. We're just getting things started here in our Group C matchup. FaZe off to a good start. Cold, solid on these entry frags. You know, the spacing and the scaling to the sides has been effective. godsent have been able to throw too many hiccups or speed bumps as they progress into sites. And we'll be delayed in seeing that further. Of course, it's just pistols out for godsent. We have a Zeus in Crystal's hands, and he typically likes to throw over towards the B side of things, but no, he's going to be in that tried and true position. Primarily a stack here from godsent. They are trying to work for area denial, but FaZe are making short work of any sort of mid control.
And we saw this in their game versus Big as well, and Big was able to exploit it. FaZe love to take control over mid and then work the connector to go for a combined 2-pronged hit on the A bomb side. Cold, though, he's always that second prong, but Nico comes in first. Nice little kill for the Mac 10, just farming up some cash. Always good to have a bit of extra bank in the pocket later on. But godsent, They don't care about bank, they care about bang for the buck, and they're not getting any out of it so far. Not much investment, but you still want to see at least a kill or two coming in. Those $300, they can matter. And well, Crystal, he's going to come through. That's the god of lightning right there. You'll love to see it.
No, Crystal won't get anything else. Berkey does track him down. Farling's trying to be a little bit tricksy, so he finds coldzera clearing out a ramp. That's an A key that he can follow into the next round, and they shouldn't be able to track him down. Of course, they're going to look for the hunt. There's still some time for FaZe to investigate that. But stability in that T-side economy will be a big benefit for them moving forward. Of course, talked about how godsent can be very effective on low buys. And they're not off to that slow start. Of course, winning the pistol will be that additional buffer. Oh no, Farley. Okay, he does get tracked down in the end. Kjerby just at the tail end of the round. No AK brought forward for godsent. Of course, they can still invest in rifles. Farley, AWP, like you would anticipate. And he, I think, will be a big focal point for us. I think both the Danes, for either side of the coin, being the most recent additions to the squad, will be huge emphasis points because confidence, implementation into the systems have been major points of criticism. And Farley's not going to start off the round well, burning down to 46.
And a lot of this will be down to Sneeko now as they start to move in. He smoked himself off, gives a better chance. Flashbang overhead as well, but FaZe is already skilled on his side, and he's gone down. Kjerby to do the honors, while Farlig is next to follow. Rain from behind can decapitate, and now godsent have to save. FaZe Clan just making short work and making Modern a head's height shorter. That is beautiful stuff coming out from FaZe. The way they're able to scale up and take control of the side is brilliant, especially when you consider that godsent this time over seemed to be wary of that mid presence, and this is something we didn't really see coming up from FaZe to a large extent versus Big. We didn't see these fast-paced plays out onto the A-bomb site through A main. Largely, again, it was mostly a connector showdown more often than not.
Yeah, this is setting a really unhealthy precedent here for godsent that they cannot rely on their A-side hold. So even if FaZe start putting more emphasis on middle control, you can expect them to meet the other side of it. Kjerby, even Molotoving out Crystal, they get nothing. Kjerby going down to the flames of Nico. Or, sorry, the other way around. Nico does hurt the scoreline of Kjerby ever slightly, but a round win is a round win. They will be happy with that. Strong stuff. Very minimal casualties in these rounds as well, so they are starting to accrue cash on that T side that... Oh, we talk about the pistols. Godsent on them. Some armor surrounding it. Not as much utility as you maybe like to see in mid to late round situations if they get themselves into some sort of an advantageous spot.
Then struck out the nade. Doesn't do too much damage, but... There you start to wonder... what exactly is going to be the game plan for godsent later on? We know that on Mirage, more often than not, their game plan is sometimes very much Modern go kill. Speaking of Modern go kill, Rain was perhaps given the same command. However, he sees a deagle, shies away from it, and lets Crystal take point. But Modern, go kill Modern! Go kill Modern! Yes! He's got it out, and they've got 3. Suddenly, everything's going wrong for FaZe Clan, but coldzera's still alive, and that's something very, very right. Needs to get out the ace flush if they want to win this, but that's not possible. Zen with the stone.